They thought they built an invincible empire, but the catastrophic failure was already hard-coded into the system. February 1st, 1968. The largest corporate marriage in history finalizes with massive celebration. The Pennsylvania Railroad and New York Central merge into a colossal $6 billion empire. Wall Street applauds the ultimate power couple. The output metrics look absolutely unstoppable everywhere. But exactly 871 days later, this invincible giant collapses into bankruptcy. It remains the most catastrophic post-merger integration failure in American corporate infrastructure history. I am fascinated by systemic failures, because the mechanics of collapse are always identical. The exact reason this railroad empire died is why modern dual-career marriages fail today. Let us examine the wreckage. Two independent, highly successful legacy systems were forced together. They shared a single balance sheet, but their internal operating protocols were fundamentally incompatible. The executives measured success purely through output metrics: total revenue, asset acquisition, and scale. They completely ignored the input metrics: the emotional bandwidth of the system and redundancy. Look at this dispatch center. The Pennsylvania network routed trains using physical punch cards. The New York Central used early magnetic tape. They could not communicate with each other. When a train crossed the former corporate boundary, it simply vanished from the system. Thousands of freight cars were physically lost in the yards, sitting idle while executives cheered. This is the invisible poison of technical debt. It never shows up on the balance sheet. It hides in the daily operational friction, compounding silently while the leadership team looks away. When official communication protocols broke down under immense stress, workers developed undocumented coping mechanisms. Shadow IT emerged. Dispatchers started using personal notebooks to track trains, bypassing the system. The official integration strategy was a lie. The real system ran on hidden, uncompensated labor. Eventually, the friction generated so much heat that the entire organizational engine seized completely. Now, step out of this boardroom. Look at your own high-achieving, dual-career tech household. You are running the exact same flawed integration architecture as the doomed Penn Central. Two ambitious professionals, operating on legacy individual systems, forced to share one domestic balance sheet. You optimize for hypergrowth, combined income, property acquisition, and your children's elite academic metrics. You track the output, but you run your relationship on unupgraded, failing internal infrastructure. In a startup, prioritizing rapid feature shipping over server maintenance creates fatal technical debt. In your marriage, default domestic management and uncompensated emotional labor act as that exact debt. It remains invisible on your daily calendar, but it compounds exponentially until a systemic crash. When you are exhausted, official communication protocols break down. You stop having strategic alignments. You develop relational shadow IT, hidden resentments and covert coping mechanisms that bypass your partnership. You handle the scheduling conflict quietly. You absorb the mental load without logging a ticket. Just like those dispatchers hiding lost trains, you hide the operational friction from your partner. I learned this the hard way. During my second startup, my marital architecture completely failed. We were shipping massive career features, but our internal server was literally on fire daily. We believed the conventional myth of the rigid 50-50 split, the worst architectural design possible. A strict 50-50 split assumes both servers always have maximum bandwidth. That is statistically impossible. When one partner faces a critical career sprint, forcing a 50-50 domestic load guarantees failure. The system crashes. True stability requires dynamic load balancing, shifting resources based on real-time constraints. You must establish clear service-level agreements for your family unit. Explicit, negotiated bandwidth allocations. If her company is launching a product, her domestic SLA drops to 20% temporarily. The system automatically routes the remaining 80% of the operational load to his server. No guilt, no hidden resentment. Just cold, efficient, documented resource reallocation to protect the core. But dynamic balancing requires constant monitoring. You cannot set it once and forget about it. The railroad executives never audited their integration. They assumed the legacy systems would naturally sync. To prevent catastrophic system churn, which we call divorce, you need a structured audit protocol. You must implement the family unit quarterly business review, a strict, unemotional operational systems check. Once a quarter, you step away from the daily execution and look at the architecture. You review the technical debt. Where is the uncompensated emotional labor accumulating in the system? Which communication protocols are failing? Where are we relying on shadow IT to survive today? This is not a date night. This is a high-level executive briefing for your household. You bring data, not emotions. You identify the friction points and patch the vulnerable code. The Pennsylvania and New York Central railroads died because they refused to rewrite legacy code. They tried to run a modern empire on outdated, incompatible software, ignoring the burning servers. Your dual-career marriage is a complex post-merger integration. It requires ruthless, intentional architectural design choices. Love is the initial seed funding, but love does not scale a complex operational system. Systems scale through explicit agreements, dynamic load balancing, and relentless elimination of hidden technical debt. Stop measuring your success purely by the output metrics of your combined tech salaries today. Look at the input metrics. Look at the exhaustion levels and the silent, undocumented resentments. Are you operating as a unified infrastructure or two legacy systems fighting for the same resources? Let us return to the train yard. Look at these massive machines rusting on tracks. They were engineering marvels, capable of pulling thousands of tons across the entire American continent. But without a functional dispatch system to route them, their immense power became completely useless. Your individual careers are these locomotives, massive, powerful, capable of generating incredible momentum and wealth. But if your domestic dispatch system is broken, all that external momentum will derail internally. The friction of managing a household, raising children, and maintaining a relationship is the track. You cannot ignore track maintenance while constantly upgrading the engine of your professional career trajectory. The derailment is mathematically inevitable. The only variable is the exact timeline of the crash. This is why the family QBR is non-negotiable. It forces you to inspect the tracks. It forces you to acknowledge the rusted communication lines before the heavy freight train arrives. During my own systems failure, I realized I was treating my home like a hotel. I expected the operational logistics to magically resolve themselves while I focus on the boardroom. I was the negligent executive, cheering for the merger while the freight cars were vanishing. Do not make this architectural error. Treat your family system with the same rigorous diagnostics. Audit your relational infrastructure today. Identify the shadow processes that are keeping your week afloat. Replace the rigid 50-50 myth with dynamic, responsive service-level agreements that reflect reality accurately. Stop hiding the operational friction. Log the tickets, review the debt, and upgrade your protocols. A successful dual-career marriage is not a fairy tale. It is a flawlessly executed integration. So I ask you to look closely at your own domestic balance sheet right now. Are you building a unified empire or just waiting for the inevitable legacy system crash?